Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever part of the world you are tuned in from. This is Funny Like a Clown podcast, and I'm back. I'm your host, Dennis Wirth, after a little hiatus here. Had my movie premiere, which I've been telling you guys about for a long, long time, over a year in the making. The World Needs a New Superhero, going to be on Amazon Prime soon. Very proud of it. We had our movie theater showing, packed house, came to thunderous applause. They really liked it. So if you want to see the trailer, it's on YouTube right now. Go check it out. The World Needs a New Superhero movie trailer, and fun comedy. It's a think piece. That's what I heard. It was much more than people expected, which is a great compliment. And I think it's going to do great. It's funny as heck, and that's what we do here. We do funny stuff at Funny on the Clown podcast. Let's see, January 25th, 2022, episode 136. Here to discuss legendary Italian comedian Mr. Pat Cooper, which a lot of Italians tab into the comedy world, I guess. Don Rickles comes to mind. Pat Cooper, big Italian comedy thing. I guess they like their comedy, and that's in their roots to be funny and full of laughter. As always, today's episode is brought to you by G Vegas Buffalo Sauce for the spicy, sweet, savory taste at game time. There's only one G Vegas available at www.gvegas.webs.com. Go there, get it shipped to your door. Go green, go fresh. It's perfect. All right. So after you check out my movie, you can check out Pat Cooper, because what a legendary career, just from a different era. I mean, we're in the .com age now, where the comedy game is so different than the comedy game was back when this guy got started. But that's why they're legends, because they had a much tougher road than we had, and weren't as many people doing it back then. A much tougher scene to break back then. They couldn't go and press a button on their computer and boom, I'm live somewhere. I mean, they actually had to go out and work for it and grind out for years, hoping for a small break. There wasn't a home video camera in everybody's house. Okay, you had to go to a TV studio. Not many people get in the TV studio to see an actual video camera. That was a big thing back then. Let's see. Pat started performing in the 1950s to mainly Italian audiences. Talking about his Italian heritage and drawing from that. And that's what they say in comedy, man. Talk about what you know about. I mean, he grew up in an Italian household. That was what was in his heart, and that's what he knew. So, me, I went through a bit of divorce. That's what I knew, and that's what I talked about in my comedy. So they say the real life stuff is more funny than anything you could make up, and that's so true. So let's see. His big break came in 1953 when he got on the Jackie Gleason show, which back then, that's like the Tonight Show, the Jackie Gleason show. It was a different era where if you get on those shows, instantly overnight you're a made comedian. I mean, you got that television credit to your name. You could put that on a billboard anywhere in the country, seen on the Jackie Gleason show, and just that name's going to draw a crowd in there. You were good enough to get on that show, I'm coming to see you. Where today, it's not that easy. I mean, it's a great one to have to your credit, but you're not the instant famous comedian you were back then. But yeah, the Ed Sullivan show when the Beatles were on, everybody went nuts. I mean, you get on one of these big time shows back then, and you're an instant headliner coast to coast. You're playing all the hot spots. After that, as we said, he played all the top clubs, the Copacabana, the 500 clubs, the Latino Casino, Plumbos, Atlantic City, and Vegas hotels. I mean, this guy was just like at the top of his game. You reach Godfather status when you're playing these places, because only the best of the best got in them, and he had reached that status. And I'm sure Jackie Gleason didn't just say, "Hey, let me take this nobody kid off the streets and give him a shot." I mean, he had to earn his shot on the Jackie Gleason show. I mean, you catch Jackie Gleason's eye, you're doing something right in the business. So earned his stake, made his bones, and there he is. Started playing some of the same shows and venues like Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, and Liza Minnelli played. So I mean, when you're in, you're headlining the same venues as these guys, that's some great company to be in right there. I mean, Frank Sinatra, yeah, you're playing the same venue as him. Yeah, you're at the top of your game in comedy. No doubt about that. So let's say 1969, he started a two-man show, Cooper with singer Jimmy Roselli. So it was a comedy and musical thing they put together. It premiered at the Palace Theater in New York City on Broadway. And let's see, after that, He performed many of the Friar Club roasts, which they're so legendary. Everybody loves a good roast, and the Comedy Central, they've made the roast legendary where they get all the big stars on there. But the original roasts were happening at the Friars Club, New York City Friar Club. And a friend of mine in comedy, local guy, Rhode Island guy. I mean, he's the guy who books most of the big comedy shows in Rhode Island, John Parada. He hadn't heard of the Friars Club, and I guess someone who saw his act, got friendly with him. And I guess, I don't know, he was in a show and invited him to perform there. And he was going to blow it off. Then he talked to another comedian, Stephanie Peters, and he's like, oh, I'm going to go to the Friar Club. Or somebody's like, are you kidding me? They asked you to go to the Friar Club? He's like, why? Is that a big deal? She's like, yeah, it's a big deal. You go. You don't turn that down. So he went down there, and I guess he said he had one of the best sets of his life. So, I mean, when you're on that stage and you have a great set, what a great time that was for him, I'm sure. So the Friar Club, hey, nobody would be getting roasted if it wasn't for the Friar Club, and we'd be missing out on all that style of comedy, which I absolutely love. There's nothing better than poking fun at the people you love. So even locally, when we did some of the local roasts, it was like a lot of the comics after they were done, they said it was the best time they've ever had in comedy. When you can actually just make fun of your friends, there's nothing better than that. But let's see, appeared in an episode of Seinfeld titled The Friars Club. He was a frequent guest on the top radio shows, the Howard Stern Show, Imus in the Morning, Open Anthony Show. These are all the number one shows that are on the air. And that's where I first caught wind of this guy, because I'm a big Sam Kinison fan. He's the reason that I got into comedy. And Sam messed up. He was heavy into drugs and the party and sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle of comedy. And he was supposed to appear on the Joan Rivers Show. And I guess he went on the Howard Stern Show that morning, and later that day he was going to be on the Joan Rivers. She had a talk show back then. And Howard said, you were a funnier guest when you were drinking. Sober, you're not as funny. He's like, all right. So he pulled out a bottle of booze right there and started drinking on the radio show. He got trashed. He went back to his hotel. He passed out and ended up missing the Joan Rivers Show. Well, in comedy, you get an opportunity like that, oh my God, everybody starts talking. It was this big thing. Sam Kinison missed the Joan Rivers Show and turned into a big thing. And, a couple weeks later, they accepted back in, Sam back into the scene. And I guess Pat Cooper got really upset about this. He's like, when you shit on the industry like that, you shouldn't be given a chance so quickly. You should start back at the bottom and earn your way back onto the top. And he went on the Howard Stern Show, and Pat was talking about it. I think I still got it on CD somewhere. I bought it off of eBay, but back when you could buy stuff like that on eBay before they knocked down, you can't get nothing on there now. But yeah, Pat was really fired up about that. He was strongly spoken. He said, who is this son of a bitch that he can control the media like that? And, he can just do whatever he wants, and he should have to start over. There's plenty of talented guys that have paid the dues and they deserve a shot, so why are they giving this guy a second chance? You should give the other guys a first chance. And that was where I first caught it. I cracked up on how upset he was about it. He was making just a damn good argument. He was so passionate about talking about it too. But that's what, man, when you love comedy, you're so passionate about your art. I mean, I can see where he was coming from, where I have that passion when I see these young kids and they're shitting on comedy. It's don't do that. You don't do that to comedy. Because, a veteran comic, when I was starting out, he told me, none of us are above comedy. I don't care how big you are in this business, no matter how big, the biggest comedian is not above comedy itself. Okay? You don't shit on what you got there. You always respect comedy, okay, man? So I did a show like that. I had Jimmy Walker from Good Times Dynamite. I booked him, and I booked Comic-Con to open for him, and she put on this big piss fit, and she was really shitting on the show and shitting on comedy because they called her Miss instead of Mrs. in the newspaper, and really turned into just a terrible, terrible thing. I was like, we're representing Boston comedy. You don't do that to comedy, okay? You don't care what they called you in the newspaper. You don't shit on comedy and shit on the show. So that can really bite you. And that turned. I mean, I ain't seen her on a big show since, and I doubt I will, because you don't shit on comedy like that and come back from it. So I can see where Pat was coming from. Here's one of the top godfathers of comedy. He's telling you, But if you knew Sam's act, it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That was the lifestyle he led. So that was kind of his thing. Where I think he came out and he said, I'm not on a lunchbox. I'm a comedian. You expect me to fuck up. So I could see both sides of it, I guess. Let's see. Billboard said his album, Our Hero, in 1965, did for the Italian community what Jackie Gleason did for the Jewish community, which, I mean, that's saying something right there. But I remember these times when then his follow-up CD in 1966, Spaghetti Sauce and Other Delights. They said that was even a stronger album. It was stronger than the first, and the first was groundbreaking. So what can you say? But yeah, I remember, and nowadays with the internet, when you're young, you want to listen to the Dirty Connie albums, you want to laugh about this stuff, but your parents don't like that. They don't want you to listen to that stuff at a young age. So I remember people talking about going in their basement and turning the record player down low and laughing into a pillow so their parents didn't hear them laughing upstairs. And me and my friend, we had the cassette tapes, but we go out cruising in our cars, and you could get the great comedy album of the time. You're in your car, mom and dad ain't around. You throw in the comedy tape and you start laughing at the dirty comedy. And the rest of the day, we're throwing quotes at each other from the comedy album, and it just became a lifestyle, which is a great way. Laughter is the best medicine, a great way to get through some difficult days. And they don't do comedy albums now because with the free downloading, you couldn't make any money, so nobody puts one out. But I guess that technology's taken it to the next level where you can go anywhere, you can go outside up the road with your cell phone and tune in a Netflix special on your cell phone, and you can watch comedy, I guess, in the woods with your friends or something, and you can laugh at it there. So I guess it's the same game, it's just a different platform where back then we had to cruise in our cars and listen on the radio. Now you can pretty much go anywhere and just watch on your phone, and mom and dad ain't around to stop you from listening to the dirty comedy. But hey, long live the days of the CD album and the great record album. Now I guess it's the great next Netflix special. Who's got the greatest comedy special rather than who's got the greatest comedy CD? Let's see. He played a fictional mobster in Analyze This, and the sequel Analyze That. I think I remember those movies with Robert De Niro and Jack Nicholson, I believe, was in those. And there's two great names to put together right there. I can see why people would tune in for that movie. But I mean, just to be considered for a role with those two great actors, I mean, that's just got to be something out of the world just to put your name. I don't care how big you work on those guys. It's like, wow, the legends. Let's see. He was a lawyer in things. This Thing of Ours, another movie out. He was on TV's Vegas, which I do remember the show. I mean, I've been watching the reruns recently. Actually, it was a show way back when. I've been watching the reruns lately at work, and that's how hard I work. We watch TV at work. But anyway, we got a dining room in a restaurant. They got a TV going. If it's slow, hey, we can catch a little bit of TV. He's on Charlie's Angels, which the TV show. That's the original Charlie's Angels in the '70s. That was one of the top shows at the time. And just how would you like to be performing with Farrah Fawcett, Jacqueline Smith, and Kate? What was her name? Kate. Oh, that's going to bother me now. Kate something or other there, but Kate Jackson. Bam, there it is. Man, I'd love to have been on that show back then. It's a Living he was on, and also LA Law he was on there too. Man, what just to be, I guess years from now people will be saying, Friends was the legendary, show of our time. He's on that, what a great break. But I mean, those are the big, Charlie's Angels of the early days. I mean, those are what the legends of those days did, and I guess the young guys would be the legends of on the Friends and shows like that. Let's see. He was a contributor to Colin Quinn's Tough Crowd on Comedy Central, which that ran for a bunch of episodes. It was a very, very good underground comedy show where he had his friends from comedy on, and a lot of local guys got on there and stuff. So Colin kept it real, kept it like a dirty show. It wasn't this big, classy, high production thing. It was, I guess, before a podcast was a podcast, Colin was just doing, straight out, let's get together, shoot the breeze about comedy type stuff, before podcasts were doing it. Colin was doing it on TV. And man, what a great just cult following you got from that one. I guess you can't break that. Let's see, what else was Mr. Pat Cooper doing in his later years? He released a DVD in 2005. You're Always Yelling. 2010, he put out a autobiography, How Dare You Say, How Dare Me. Let's see. Here's one that kind of hit home with me, okay, because he retired now. I guess he retired to Vegas in his later years, and he was married a few times, I think 3 times, and he had some biological kids and he had some stepkids. And this just goes to show you that this can affect anybody, because I guess in his later years, he's been alienated from all the members of his adopted and his biological family. So that goes to show you the stars ain't immune from parental alienation. I know Alec Baldwin, he was caught on the phone arguing with his daughter, which he said he made the mistake of taking the feud out, him and his mother's feud out on her mother's feud out on her. where that's the sick part of it. The kid gets caught in the middle, man. I mean, you should keep him out of it, and then unfortunately, the kid always gets caught in the middle. My son hasn't talked to me in over what 8, 9 years now, and it don't look like he's intending on me. He may never talk to me again. I don't even. His head's been so messed up by me and my ex's arguments. But that's the only thing that got me through it is it's a worldwide problem. I know I'm not alone, and yeah, I'm sad Pat Cooper had to go through that, but it shows everybody else. It can happen to the big stars. It can happen to big money people. It can happen to anybody. It's just such a worldwide problem, and I hope someday they fix the crooked system that's putting profit and money before our children and guys like Pat Cooper and me, and we don't get alienated from our children because children need both parents equally. I truly believe that, and the only way we're going to do that is by changing the system that's in place. Because when you got I think 10 to 20 kids worldwide a day committing suicide due to access issues to the parent or parents committing suicide. It just goes to show you the system's not working and we need to change it. So hey man, legendary career though, Pat Cooper. Look back, all the people he made laugh, and I can say, if you're having a tough day and then you go see Pat Cooper and he makes you laugh, that takes the edge off. If you haven't seen your kid in 8 years and you go see a Pat Cooper show and you haven't smiled in friggin' years because of the pain you've been going through, and he gets you to smile, that's how you solve a problem right there. Okay, you go see comedy, lightens you up for a night, and you can't say, there's a saying, comedy won't solve your problems, but it'll make you forget about them for a little while, and that's a great thing. So hats off to the Godfather here, Pat Cooper, for doing what he did for comedy and giving way for the next generation to follow in his footsteps. You got a good Italian joke, tell it tomorrow. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Laughter is the best medicine. This is Final Count Podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Wirth, and keep it light, man. You can't take life too serious. Just joke around about it and tell your friends a joke, get a joke from them. Listen to a comedy special together, laugh together, and laughter is going to beat everything. All right. Till next time, good night.